Should Oxbridge be abolished due to its elitism?
Never catch vibes with an enemy, that's my pedigree. If I see you move, then I want you to move with energy. Come and do your thing right next to me. Come and show me something that I never see.
So thanks for joining us for this video. We've got Elena here with us today, which is a great honour to have her in our first video. So thanks very much, Elena, for being here with us. It's great to have you. Do you want to just give a quick introduction about what you do and your YouTube channel?
Yeah, my name's Elena. I'm a law student at St. John's College at the University of Cambridge, and I occasionally make YouTube videos. I try to do it regularly, and I largely make vlogs and study with me videos.
Perfect, thanks a lot, that sounds great. So we've watched some of your videos and kind of thought that it was a great starting point for us to speak to you and just to kind of broaden the people that are talking in our videos so that we get as many different opinions as possible, because Cam and I have only got so many opinions on one college in Oxford, so it's great to have someone else here.
We'll start the video with a quickfire questions round for Elena, and this will be 60 seconds of 10 questions that me and Josh will ask.
So 1 minute on the clock, quickfire questions, 3, 2, 1, go.
Vlog or blog?
Vlog.
McDonald's or KFC?
McDonald's.
Favourite movie?
I'm panicking, I don't know. Sorry.
It's a tough one. That's alright.
Right, okay. Describe yourself in 3 words.
I like to think fashionable.
Nice.
Potentially intelligent,
Right.
and somewhat creative.
Cool.
Good answer.
Dark or milk chocolate?
Milk chocolate.
Cool. Apple or Android?
Apple.
Favourite YouTuber?
Probably looking for Lewis.
Ooh, nice.
Cat or dog?
Dog.
Night out or Netflix?
Netflix.
And to finish it, Cam or Josh?
No, I'm not.
The time is
Cool.
up for sure.
Safe by the clock.
I think I agree with every single one of those answers.
Yeah,
actually.
I don't know. I debate you on Apple versus Android. That's So the bulk of the questions for this video we kind of got from Elena's followers through her Instagram. So we'll link her Instagram below. So go and check that out. And massive thanks to your followers who sent in some great questions.
So the first question is actually, what is Oxbridge in itself?
So Oxbridge is kind of a term we use to define Oxford University and Cambridge University, and they're kind of, I guess, defined as their own name because they have lots of things in common, stuff like colleges, as well as having a similar level of kind of prestige as being quite high-level academic universities.
At Oxbridge, we basically have houses like in Hogwarts, but we just call them colleges. So you live there, they provide your accommodation, they provide some teaching in the form of supervisions or tutorials, but you do still have lectures with everyone from the university. So you are part of the big university, but then you're also part of a smaller community within your college.
How hard did you work to get into Cambridge/Oxford?
Funny thing for me is I didn't actually really work towards getting into Oxbridge at all. Because I wasn't really planning on studying in the UK. I actually planned for studying in the US. I think I just worked hard in terms of, making sure I get grades to get admitted and extracurriculars. But at the end of the day, I didn't really count on meeting my conditional offer because it was very high.
I think I was similar, even being from the UK. I didn't really know too much about Oxford and Cambridge. It was more just, how can I do the best for myself, how can I get the best grades I can? And then once I got into year 13, the last year of sixth form, then I started to think about, oh wait, the grades are similar to what people that apply to those sorts of universities get. So in terms of actually working towards Cambridge and Oxford, not that much, but in terms of working hard, just in terms of A-levels and just school life, then relatively hard.
I'm exactly the same as you guys, that I was never working towards going to Oxford as the final thing, just kind of working hard, and then it was kind of mentioned to me saying like, well, you're achieving these grades, that is kind of the sort of level of university that is worth certainly considering. And again, right until the last minute, it wasn't like I'm going to be going to Oxford over all else. It was just one of the other great options that I had. So
the next question is, how does one know that they're an Oxbridge type student? Once you're there, you realise that there's not necessarily an Oxbridge type. There's a stereotype which exists, especially before you get there, and there still is probably a stereotype once you're there. But for me, if there is an Oxbridge type, then I don't think that I still belong to that type. I think that rather than one type, there's many different types, and there's so many different things that you can be doing there, so many different people you can meet, that it's not like what it's portrayed as necessarily. I mean, there's elements, definitely there's elements that, you know, the whole Harry Potter sort of image and that sort of thing. There is elements of that, but also there's elements where it's just a place where someone from Coventry or from Huntingdon or from Stuttgart can just feel at home as well.
So I do think, like, because we all develop and grow as people, we're not necessarily all, you know, the same type when we leave. But I do think we share certain characteristics, and definitely that people have been hardworking throughout high school. Whatever the goal is for which they're doing it, I do think all Oxford students usually share that. The next question is, are socioeconomic backgrounds important?
So I think that they are unfortunately still important in terms of the sort of students that are still at Oxford and Cambridge, and there's obviously a bit of a gap between kind of private and public schools, unfortunately, but I think that they are working towards proving that, and it certainly should never be a barrier for people who are looking to apply.
I think there's definitely a lot of support, especially in terms of also scholarships, but also social clubs. Like, for example, the 98% Club or something like that, I believe it's called. It's a club for state school students at Oxbridge, and I think they also exist at other universities. So they're there to support, but also to make sure that the institutions are accessible for students of all kind of backgrounds. Although I do think Oxbridge also still has some access issues, but I think they are very willing to hear your voice on that because they know that. And then there are other things like, for example, Mayballs and stuff, where there's less good support. But the great thing is they know it, they're aware, and if you have a good recommendation on how they can provide that support, then I think they're very open to listening to that.
Yeah, and I think definitely if anyone has fears coming from a state school background about the type of people they'll interact with, we're proof that you do meet people similar to you. Me and Josh both came from a state school background, and a lot of our friends, I know for a fact, a large proportion of them have come from similar state school backgrounds as well. So there is a mix of people that you will meet, and it's, although the numbers are perhaps scary still in terms of acceptance rates from private school versus state school, when you're there, it's not maybe the same as home, but it is very easy to meet people that are similar to you as well.
What was your biggest fear when you applied to these prestigious universities? I can answer that I had no fears, because when you have no expectations, there's really nothing to fear. Because I didn't really expect to get into it, so I really just went into the interview like, oh, this is going to be a learning experience, and then I'm going to get rejected, and then I'm done with it. So I wasn't really scared, just tried to do my best, but I didn't really have the expectation of actually making it into the university.
For me, rather than my own fears, the only real fear I had when applying was letting people down. In terms of the school I came from, I was the only person I remember from my school who got into Oxford and Cambridge while still being at the school. A lot of the teachers within the school, my family of course, and my friends were all quite excited that someone in our circle was getting the opportunity to even apply to Oxbridge. And so all the way throughout the application, although it shouldn't be that way, I was quite wary of letting them down. My personal recommendation to people that are watching this is that in the end it's your decision. If you get to a certain point, although it's good to obviously make them proud and make sure that you're looking out for people around you and you want to be as good as you can for them, at the end of the day, it's your decision. If you find out information that leads you to think that you won't enjoy it, then that's your decision, and you should reject it if that's not for you. And similarly, if it's for you and people are saying that you shouldn't be applying, then I think you should apply anyway if that's something you want to do.
The question is, how have you found dealing with imposter syndrome when surrounded by super clever people? So it's just the general feeling that you're an imposter. So for our case, for some reason, academically, typically, that you kind of shouldn't be at that university and you're not smart enough, really. I certainly have definitely felt that, continue to feel that throughout my degree, felt it when applying. You get more used to dealing with it in that you'll speak to your friends and you'll realise actually they're feeling like that, and therefore if everyone feels like that, then you can't all be imposters. So maybe it's not actually true what you're feeling. What do you guys think?
Someone told me this, I believe, like this analogy. So you imagine everyone is a duck, including you, and you feel like you're struggling so much because, you know, under the water you're just trying to keep yourself afloat and you're trying to get forward, and everyone else around you just seems to be like gliding across the water. It's all so calm, they're all doing so well and so easy for them, but actually under the water they're all equally struggling to keep themselves afloat and to get forward. And I think as you go along your degree you kind of learn that, because everybody seems to be doing so well. When you get to know them, they're struggling just as much, and they look at you and they're like, oh my god, you are so perfect, you are doing so well, and you're like, no, you are doing so well. So I think we all kind of have that.
That was a really good image actually about the ducks.
That was great.
I've just finished university now forever, and I still feel as if the whole thing was me being an imposter. Do you know what I mean? I don't think it will ever fully go away, but I think it's definitely worth recognising that, like you say, everyone's in that boat and everyone is feeling the same. But once you're there, you kind of recognise that maybe you should be here and you've got achievements which do warrant you being there, and you have got abilities which are similar to other people as well. Are people actually normal? I think that, in a way as well, is why we've set this channel up. We've come up with the name Average Blokes, which we've had as a sort of Instagram page we've been using for a few years, but the whole point is to show that normal people do go to Oxford. Although everyone there is very motivated to do well, it's not all just work related, and we've made it to sort of show how cool people there are as well, and which is why we've got guests which we'll bring on, such as Elena, to show that there is a wide range of people that go here, and it's not so much just like the stereotype that people have.
Yeah, definitely. I think that, I mean, whilst it's up to your judgment as to whether we're normal or not, at least we like to think of ourselves as being somewhat average or relatable, coming from fairly standard backgrounds and having kind of fairly normal interests, and we're not these crazy kind of genius type level people that you see in films.
How is the social life, and which is better, Oxford or Cambridge? For social
I think
life.
it's really bad that I'm here to defend Cambridge's social life, because I'm probably like the least social person you could have picked for this. But because I'm at Cambridge, I have to say Cambridge's social life is better. I can't really tell you why, but I can say my friends are amazing. I think that counts as social life. And just generally, Cambridge is better, so that's that.
We've got to defend Oxford here now, Cam.
They're trying to figure out how to challenge their guests politely, and they're struggling.
Right. So, in terms of the social life, before I got to university, this was actually something which worried me. Obviously, with the stereotype that, you know, it's a bit like Hogwarts.
A bit boring.
A bit boring and that sort of thing. But actually, when I got there, it's probably got a much better social life than I do at home. I mean, there's always somewhere where you can go. There's a wide range of pubs. Josh has got a pubs poster, so map. So we've been ticking some off, etc.
They put on different events just for the college, so it would be mostly your friends, whether it's kind of a music night in the bar or something out on the grass, or like a barbecue sometimes college puts on. Those smaller level social events are really kind of some of the highlights I've had of the uni, because it's just almost all your mates are there, and you're enjoying the college and all the great kind of historical buildings and stuff for what they are. So it's a lot better than you might have heard, probably.
And I think one to mention in particular there is the college bops. In Oxford we have college bops which are 3 times a term, I think, where we have a different theme for each one, where we then dress up, so people make their own costumes, and then within our college we'd then get together and have a little dance with each other, etc. And I really enjoyed those. I struggle with anxiety in getting stuff written. I was wondering if there are any supports for that, and what do you do when you are stressed?
So firstly, if you have any mental health issues, at Cambridge we have a disability resources centre, I believe that's what it's called. You can go and talk to them and they can help you get things in place so that you have support. I did say there has been quite a lot of criticism of Cambridge with regards to that. Personally, I had a big mental health issue in my first year. I had a very, very positive experience with Cambridge. But I do know that experiences kind of vary with this. So I would recommend, if you have any issues, as soon as you have gotten in and you have confirmed you're going, I would recommend getting in touch with them, making sure you have everything in place that they're going to need as documentation so that they can help you set up everything, so that you're not struggling throughout the year to set up just the support system, but rather that you have it in place once you start university.
Yeah, we've got a similar situation at Oxford in that there are systems in place to help with mental health support and things like that, and counselling services, but they have come under some criticism in the way they've dealt with things. But having the college kind of, again, having a smaller breakdown of the fact that you have that breakdown of different types of people to speak to about it. And in terms of the question of what do we do when we're stressed, typically I play sports, so I'll go out for a run or I'll play football with Cam, things like that, where it's just kind of finding something outside of college or outside of the academic headspace to just kind of take my mind off things, which there's plenty of chances to do.
Yeah, and I think college sport plays a big part in that sort of side of things as well, in that it's not the most serious thing, and it's been we're very competitive, but also anyone can play, anyone's invited into the group and made to feel welcome, and so it just takes your mind off all of the work going on and any of the problems that you may be dealing with outside of that.
Okay, next question. Is there a significant amount of diversity regarding students at Oxbridge?
Diversity of thought, personality, yes, absolutely. Diversity in terms of race or economic background, yes and no. I think the economic background one is improving quite a lot. In terms of like cultural diversity and people from different places and people who are not white, I do think at least Cambridge is still quite a white place, and I realized that because I came from an international school in Hong Kong, and I remember walking into my lecture theatre and I was like, oh wow, everyone is white. But I think it is definitely still white, lacking diversity, which we also see in the admission statistic. They are trying to improve that, but we can definitely see, if you look back at the admission statistic, for example, just for Black students, that has definitely gone up, and they're doing things like, for example, Cambridge to Storm Fee Scholarship. So they're trying a lot of things, but obviously it's going to take a while to see the effect.
Yeah, I agree with that. In terms of diversity of backgrounds and race, I think that a lot more needs to be done still, but I think it is moving that direction, at least, even if it's not as fast as it maybe should be. There is definitely groups and communities once you're at Oxford where you can meet people from a similar background or from countries that you come from, or similar countries. For example, there's the India Society, etc., etc. There's societies in that vein that where you can meet people.
There's a lot that the university itself needs to do. Something that is at least encouraging. There's a lot of people who are very happy to be proactive in kind of criticising the university and holding it into account in all those different ways, which is really good to see.
The next question, we're going to get into some controversy. Should Oxbridge be abolished due to its elitism? I found that a very interesting question. Personally, I would say no, because I think it is more meritocratic elitism rather than something that's just based on generational wealth or anything. You can definitely make an argument that generational wealth unfortunately still matters in the application process, but you have 3 students here who are proof of the fact that it's not the only thing that matters. And I do think Oxbridge does provide you with something quite special, though I wouldn't think of it as like the only type of elite in that sense. It is a quite elitist place in the sense of you have some really fancy traditions, the libraries look very fancy, and obviously you have access to a massive amount of resources. But at the same time, you can have a much better educational experience at another place depending on what learning type you are. So don't think of this as like the be-all, end-all academic community for everyone.
I also don't think that it should be abolished because of its elitism. It's certainly in the past and historically has probably been a massive problem how elitist and how kind of untouchable Oxbridge has been. But given that its current position and hopefully kind of the direction it's moving, that it still has a place in terms of, first of all, kind of accepting those historical roles that it's had and therefore how it's changed since then. And I mean, in terms of research, the kind of research facilities and people that you have together because of that has brought lots of positive things to society. For example, the fact that the coronavirus vaccine is being tested at Oxford.
Yeah, I agree with everything that's been said. I think that rather than abolishing, it should just be more of a focus on education based on the privileges that everyone that attends the university has to an extent, but also the amount of privilege which exists at the university, and abolishing it wouldn't do anything, whereas just education about what it means and how we treat people that don't have the same sort of backgrounds and the same community, the same cultures is a much better way of doing things.
Okay, right, now for the biggest question of the whole video. This one specifically is for Elena. Why did you choose Cambridge over Oxford? Any regrets?
Okay, so fun fact, I actually plan to apply to Oxford. Don't tell my college or my university that.
Is this an exclusive reveal?
Yeah, exclusive. I actually don't think I've said this online publicly before. But yeah, I actually plan to apply to Oxford. The only reason I didn't is because Oxford requires you for law to sit a test, which you have to pay for. And I'm a cheap person, and Cambridge's test is free. So I was like, nah, I'm not paying. So I applied to Cambridge instead. The reason I originally wanted to go to Oxford was because their conditional offers are lower, and I had absolutely no faith that I could meet the Cambridge conditional offer. But yeah, because I'm a cheap person, I had to go and try to meet that conditional offer. But yeah, that's the reason. Do I regret the choice of applying to Cambridge? No, because I ended up at the better university. So everything worked out just fine for me.
Well, I'm glad that we concluded that Oxford is the better university.
Yeah.
That is absolutely not the conclusion that you should take from this.
It's fine. I'm in charge of the editing, so you know we can cut that bit out.
I will spam the comment section. Don't you worry.
Well, thanks so much for coming on our show. It's the first person we've had on the Average Blokes show. It's been a pleasure. Massive thank you again.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It was a lot of fun.
Thanks so much.
Pleasure. Yeah, if you've enjoyed it, don't forget to check out Elena's channel in the description below, and like and subscribe if you've enjoyed this video. Looking forward to seeing you in the next one. Thanks a lot.
If I see you move, then I want you to move with energy. Come and do your thing right next to me. Come and show me something that I've never seen. Yeah, like put all your faith in me, cause I'm feeling kinda vibrant. I wanna vibe with you. Step into my walk cause I'm in